We are live.
We are live.
Post budget.
Yes.
We did something on budget day too. We did on the budget day as well. Yeah. So anyways, post budget, right, guys? So good afternoon to both of you, and good afternoon everybody. At the onset, if you have questions, please send, and maybe from minute 7 we'll try and take some of the questions as well. But first things first, IT is in the green, but small caps are down and large caps are down too. No surprise thereof.
No, it's not. And I think we were talking about it on Saturday as well, right? Trump tariffs. Now Canada is reciprocating with a 25% tariff, which basically means that their auto companies are going for a, if someone was there in the US, they would have shorted auto companies in the US because of the kind of expensive is going to become, and the costlier the auto companies are going to become.
Trump warned, yeah. Trump said on Truth Social that it could be painful. May not be, but may be as well.
But he said painful for US or
US. He said that.
But I think even China is now is trying to appease them, but I don't think it's going to happen in that sense.
Who knows? I mean, so the bull or the optimist within me says that he's gone out and said, right, that this is for drugs. One key reason, of course, is drugs, right? That on why this is happening. The other thing is immigration, right? Not due to large trade deficit or trade issues per se, right? He's having a call today with both Canada and Mexico. I get confused sometimes. Should I call it like the Spanish do? But so Mexico and Canada as well.
Yes.
Hopefully,
I think you're watching too much of Netflix.
Yeah, but hopefully something positive comes out of it, right? But
I also think he's willing to negotiate.
Yeah, all of this is negotiating too.
He's expressed very publicly that he's willing to negotiate this.
But I think he's taking a firmer stand with Canada than with Mexico.
51st state.
Yeah. He wants Canada to become 51st state. Yeah, that's true. But on a global scale.
होगा ऐसा?
नहीं होने वाला है.
Kite flying.
पतंग तो बहुत लोग उड़ाते हैं. But on a global scale, dollar is appreciating, crude is appreciating, and that's creating inflation pressure across the region, across emerging market economies, and that's one of the reasons why we are also, because Rupee also breached 87. So it's going to be a little painful for RBI as well, going into 7th.
We've laid the bet. Yes. We've laid the bet. No, but I have a fundamental reason to mention here. I think a lot of people are saying, oh, rupee is weak and therefore it's a problem. If the rupee doesn't depreciate the way yuan is depreciating, our exports will have a problem. I mean, rupee can go all the way to 90. Yes, people who want to travel abroad will be sulking. But that is the order, that is the, how the cookie will crumble. If the yuan is depreciating versus the dollar, there is no way that the rupee won't and should not depreciate. The rupee should depreciate. Otherwise, what will happen to export?
But now China has come out and said that they will control the depreciation.
Then the RBI will be forced to control.
To some extent, which is a good thing, I think, because that will make foreign investing into India more lucrative. So therefore, the currency depreciation ideally
but
should not happen. But
the balance of trade is something which needs
from an export perspective, 100%.
See, देखो,
but I'm saying
export का होगा. कोई प्रॉब्लम वो नहीं है कि एक्सपोर्टर्स के लिए फायदा है क्योंकि यू आर गेटिंग मोर मनी फॉर द डॉलर, बट वी आर अ नेट इंपोर्टिंग कंट्री, राइट? सो इन दैट सेंस अगर इफ यू आर नॉट एबल टू
Sajeet, your net imports come in largely from inelastic imports which are crude, etc. It's just not a business impact.
But even capital also, from a capital point of view also, अभी हम we are not self sufficient. हम कह रहे हैं कि हम आत्मनिर्भर बन रहे हैं to get backward integration in play, everything which is happening. It will take a few years to reach that place where we are doing everything, and agar someone puts anything tariffs, we are going to the exporters will be benefiting from it. But today as we speak, it's a negative, because आप फार्मा को ले लो, आप कोई भी इंडस्ट्री में ले लो, आप 40-50% of your raw material is coming from outside.
No,
but you're still ending up.
I still think that if we don't let the rupee go in line with the yuan, our exports will come off. It will show up in the trade deficit.
That is true. Yuan if you look at and I was doing some math there on yuan and rupee, how much they have depreciated. Yuan has depreciated more than the rupee in that sense.
Simple.
Yes.
Against the dollar.
Yeah.
And we have been holding off. And
which is why it's become difficult.
It has become difficult.
Exactly.
And a lot of this had happened up to December 31st.
Exactly.
A lot of the slide has happened January onwards.
January onwards, yes.
And since then, things have gotten slightly better in that sense, from an export
it's been
perspective.
stable for them. But
From
now
an export perspective.
Now you have the Trump tariff against the European Union also coming in, and European Union, saying that we will put retaliatory tariffs on US, which is
so. Let's see. It's fun and games times. By the way, Hemant Nirban is saying that he loves the show. Hemant, thank you so much. We love you too, and thank you so much for tuning in. And that's great to know that people are tuning in regularly.
It is.
Let's make it
It's heartening to know.
Mutual affair. Yeah. Okay. Just one very quick thing on the market fall today as well. Right? Why is market falling? I think aside of everything else, Neelkanth Mishra made this point, by the way. Capex stocks are falling.
Yes.
Also because of the global issues. That if indeed there are tariffs, retaliatory tariffs, would manufacturing essentially go for a toss? But I have some numbers here, guys, and the numbers are this. The numbers are that if indeed our markets or Nifty will have an EPS of 1025 for FY25 and therefore between 1100 and 1150 for FY26. Alright, this is the number, this is the math that I'm doing.
ये मैंने देखा था, आपने टीवी पे भी ये दिखाया था और आपने बोला था 5 to 10% का फॉल हो सकता है निफ्टी में, राइट?
If so 4.26 मैं बोल रहा हूँ अगर FY26 का अगर आप ले लो, राइट, तो अगर निफ्टी का EPS है 1178 to 1117 डिपेंडिंग ऑन 15% ग्रोथ to 9% ग्रोथ. फिलहाल स्ट्रीट एंड एवरेज सेल साइड एनालिस्ट 15% पे बैठा है.
12 पे लेकर आएगा
12 पे लेके आएगा. और ये 15% भी ऐसा नहीं है कि निफ्टी इज ग्रोन 10% इन और 12% इन FY25. 3.5% के ग्रोथ पे भाई साहब 12% ऐसा नहीं है, गैंगबस्टर्स ग्रोथ है. तो FI सोचेगा ना बॉस कि अगर ये मार्केट 3% ग्रो करने के बाद अगर 9% या 10% ग्रो कर रहा है तो मैं उसको लॉन्ग टर्म एवरेज मल्टीपल दूंगा. लॉन्ग टर्म एवरेज है 19 टाइम्स currently. So if we are at 21 times, we have to fall to 19 times depending, right? Now depending on your EPS estimate, if you believe we'll go to 19 times, there is between a 4 to 8-9% correction waiting to happen in the Nifty unless the Reserve Bank of India were to pull out a rabbit out of its hat, liquidity measures, dividend, cut rates. If all of that happens, then it's a separate thing.
I take your point about RBI coming out and make cut rates because we have a wager on that coffee on that part of it. But मुझे बताओ कि अगर RBI आता है 25 बेसिस पॉइंट कम करता है, उसका ट्रांसमिशन कब होगा? इम्पैक्ट ऑफ सिग्नलिंग से दुनिया नहीं चलती भाई. मैं बता रहा हूँ, सिग्नल से दुनिया नहीं चलती.
देखो लिक्विडिटी मेजर्स हैव बीन डन,
मार्केट सिग्नल्स पे ही चलता है.
लिक्विडिटी मेजर्स
उसका शोज द विलिंगनेस, उसका इंपैक्ट 2 क्वार्टर लगेगा.
हाँ, दो नहीं 3 क्वार्टर. अच्छा ये बता दो कि पिछले 2 साल में जब चेंजेस हुए हैं तो कितना ट्रांसमिशन हुआ है नीचे? Okay, from a banking point of view, banks are facing an issue getting deposits. The cost of deposits are rising for them.
RBI can't do anything about it.
RBI can't do anything about them, right? And उसके बेस में RBI कट करेगा and they expect banks to cut rates.
होने नहीं वाला है.
lending rate नहीं होने वाला कट. Simple as that. क्योंकि अगर आपका deposit cost बढ़ रहा है तो आप lending rate नहीं करने वाले आपके. तो चाहे आप जितना भी गिरा दो, नहीं होने वाला.
पर liquidity free up हो जाएगा sir, and accordingly and that will start a cycle of competitiveness on the lending side, which will likely lead to lending rates coming down. अभी सर नहीं है because clutch of lenders are facing a lot of asset quality issues due to which there are issues, and then the second largest lender has its own set of issues with regard to merger and
so the blah blah blah. 7 को 50-25 basis point काटने से asset quality issue change हो जाएगा.
नहीं सर,
second lender
नहीं सर, that's not what I'm saying. No, but that's not what I'm saying.
मैं ये बोल रहा हूँ कि
so what is he saying? What are you saying?
Macroeconomic point of view.
I am agreeing with you that the 25 basis points in February will not happen for slightly different reasons. But I also feel that if a 25 basis points rate cut were to happen, it will take 2 quarters to translate. I feel that will have an impact on lending rates. So that is where I differ with you. But I'm somewhere between both of you.
No, my limited point.
दोनों तरफ से कॉफी पी रही है.
No, I'm saying, so one is the signaling impact. Two, I didn't actually mean as much about the rate cuts alone, as much also that over the next 3 months or 4 months, if there is depending on the date. Last point here, if the Reserve Bank of India were to give out a large dividend, that might help the government as well. So therefore, all of that. That's why I said the ball is in the RBI's court now. But
and just to add on the valuation aspect of things, you spoke about the Nifty valuation. See, if relative to emerging markets, Nifty was decently priced, and maybe it is, but slightly more pricier than that is what I feel. You wouldn't have someone like a Whirlpool pull out money. You wouldn't have promoters doing QIPs. Because the cost of equity they believe is low at this point, people are willing to do fresh issue, which is why your large DI investment, which is coming month after month, 35,000 odd crore, SIP plus, is getting absorbed, but yet it's getting absorbed through promoter sell downs to a certain extent. And that is also a signal, I'm saying. I'm not giving a confident view, but I'm saying that it's a signal that markets are buoyant, especially in India versus abroad.
And when he spoke about
LG, Whirlpool, all the like.
When he spoke about SIP and all, I think one of the questions talks about after this tax cut, what will be the impact on inflation. Okay. But to the question of SIP is going to grow more because you get giving more money in the hands of people after the tax cuts, which is happening. So DI flows are going to go up from here.
Yes.
Now I was looking at a tweet of former CE, and he was giving an explanation that 1 lakh crore का net impact on the economy कितना आता है, वो 5x हो जाता है, 5 लाख करोड़. So जो आपने 1 लाख करोड़ दिया है in tax, you almost get it back in GST and taxes of 1 lakh crore. So it's net neutral on a budget point of view. It means assuming that 20% is saved and 80% is spent or
with that assumption.
Simple as that.
And by the way, this can be used in various ways. So somebody is asking whether it's inflationary. Part one, it may not be as inflationary as otherwise. Some bit of this inflation is good as well, by the way. But it could be used for housing spends too, by the way. Madhu Kelam at this point. That people want to, and this is unlevered income. You get it month after month. You are happy to do an SIP or an EMI. So both can happen. So it may actually spur that as well. Spur construction jobs, etc. and stuff like that. Something that Pranjal Bhandari said. So that is one. Second is consumption, all forms of consumption, discretionary or staples as the case may be. But the limited point that I make here is on, staple stocks, 2 दिन से ऊपर गए and stuff like that. I was thinking about it. HUL, I'm taking HUL as an example, used to trade at 80-90 times, 100 times in the last decade, because everything else notwithstanding, uska terminal growth rate 12% था. So street was saying, boss, if I can see this stock growing at 12% for the next 15 years, I can afford to give it this multiple on the Excel sheet. Now the terminal growth rate is 5-6% and not 12%. Therefore, if an HUL is trading at 45 times or 50 times already, right, and it's growing at 4-5% after this tax cut as well, I don't think that there is merit in people chasing this stock anymore. I really don't think that FMCG rally will continue for the rest of the month.
Correct.
It will cool off.
Yes. And do you also believe, just an added point to this, that FMCG's reaction on Saturday was a little bit exaggerated? Given that other sectors didn't really do too much.
It is a technical
but
factor,
FMCG as a sector was just
the first whiff of positive news maybe. Stuff like that. So Jeffries, Morgan and all call ITC a big beneficiary. So that may well happen, but that's a tobacco thing. Don't confuse it with just FMCG.
Correct.
एक दिन reaction हो गया, आज पता नहीं कैसे होगा.
It's down around.
It's down, right? Yeah, but good. I'm happy.
There was a technical factor as well because institutional volumes बहुत कम थे.
Exactly.
Mutual funds नो ट्रेड में थे और कुछ फिर भी 15,000 करोड़ का ट्रेड हुआ था और FIs में मैक्सिमम 1300 करोड़ के नेट सेल हुआ था तो वो उतना वॉल्यूम उतना नहीं था उसमें तो दैट्स
इट वाज दैट काइंड ऑफ अ डे आल्सो वीकेंड था
वॉल्यूम्स नहीं थे मतलब देयर वाज speculative trading was there, day traders were there, prop trade was there, everything was there. But if you look at the delivery was much low.
Now I'm going to take some queries. All right. So first one is there are a few. Okay. So there is one from Aki Yeps. There is one from Matiksh Dosani. I hope I'm getting your names correctly. There is one from Vigin Dharan, and there is one from Jack Denijo or Denijo. I'm going to take all of those. Okay. Let's start with the question from Aki Yeps. The question is, any upcoming mid or small cap growth companies that are under your radar, and opinion on upcoming Tata Motor demerger? We can't give opinion on mid cap and small cap companies, Aki, but I can definitely tell you that the consensus view in the last 1 month on one sector which has got large presence of mid caps and small caps is specialty chemicals. The numbers have looked good across the board. The commentary is mixed to positive. If you want to really scan for mid cap and small cap companies in a sector which has not done anything for the last 3 years, if you will, then specialty chemicals is certainly one pocket you want to watch out for. And we don't need to give you names, but agar aap khali ye mahine ka just the look at the results posting and the con call commentary of 7-8 of these names, you will easily be able to figure out which are the companies to focus on. Then do a little bit of homework on the valuations, etc., and you will get an answer. So that's the first question.
And consumption based stories ko jara dekho, matlab काफी करेक्शन हुआ, 30-40% करेक्शन.
But mid caps नहीं है ना उससे, they want mid cap and small cap. That's the point.
Mid cap में भी थोड़े से ऐसे स्टोरीज हैं जो काफी इंस्टीट्यूशनल इंटरेस्ट रखते हैं. वहाँ पर भी I think institution haven't exited the mid caps, though there has been a lot of correction because of the liquidity issue.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's one.
I focus in on financial, so I'll say that there are some financial names which have had exaggerated falls despite asset quality holding up. Relatively smaller names also present in this set of companies, and when you look at them, you'll realize that there's plenty of value, and the fear factor which has caused the fall in the stock may not be commensurate to what's actually being delivered by some of these companies.
So you're answering Vigin Dharan's question as well. Is it the right time to get into good quality NBFC stocks? The answer is a yes.
Yes, but selective. Very, very selective.
Who have delivered good numbers? We are not talking about buy sell here, but who have delivered good numbers very quickly?
So you look at a mass
or a good con call.
Yeah, you look at a mass financial, very strong set. Look at a 5-star business, good strong set of numbers. You Grow Capital, again good numbers. Capri Global has also done very, very well. So some of these tier 3 maybe lenders, if I can call it, have done fairly well on the asset quality front, despite there being so many challenges in the economy, which is good to see.
And avoid microfinance, right? A lot of people are talking about Fusion Micro, etc. and stuff like that. Avoid microfinance is what the general rule is?
Yeah, avoid microfinance at this point for sure, because over leveraged, especially those which have grown at a very rapid pace over the last 2-3 years, ignoring the fact that process is involved in growth as well, and just growth for the heck of growth is important. Ignore some of those. Even some of the small finance banks also have started to look good. AU relative to its 5-year average valuations, and this purely, I'm talking fact, is trading at a large discount. You're looking at even something like an Equitas, fallen by a large chunk from the top, 40% down. And we spoke with management today. They spoke about how maybe 2 more quarters of pain, and after that hopefully things should start looking up. So some high growth names, 20% growth, Equitas clocked a very similar number even from AU, available at relatively cheaper valuations to their averages.
Tata Motors is the question.
Very quickly, Tata Motors. I don't have a view.
I think it's going to happen in the next 3 to 4 months, that entire demerger which is going to happen. Valuation उसका $9 billion के आसपास था जब उन्होंने TPG को बेचा था उस समय. I don't think it will get that 9 billion given the kind of competitive intensity which has come up in this area. Tata Motors hai, Mahindra hai, now you have MG which is coming in, you have Maruti which is going to come in, you know, there are multiple, Hyundai bhi baat kar raha hai. So there is a competitive intensity which is coming in, and now in this market you will have to see what the balance sheet of a EV company looks like before you put a multiple to it. Means investors have lost this valuation, they don't understand the valuation because you can see from Ola which is happening. आपका इधर आने वाला है. The numbers are numbers are very good. They have improved the numbers after the change in mix and all. But valuation is going to be very muted, and they will have to manage with that valuation. Demerger में भी ऐसे होने वाला है. आपने private equity को तो वो high valuation में बेच दिया, पर I don't think the market will give you that kind of $9 billion valuation in that sense. Means आप देखो ना कि अपने P&L जो आपने निकाला है उसमें आपका कितना आया है. 10% EBITDA margin, including PLI.
Yeah.
PLI हटा दो तो 1.6-1.7% का EBITDA margin है.
पर वो scale करके
it's an asset light model. You have to that scale up synergy जो आएगा और उससे जो scale up होगा वो that is something which has to be shown to the market before they can do anything. So वो that is one thing which is there both in the case of Mahindra तो अभी नहीं कर रहा पर Tata Motors तो कर रहा है. तो Tata Motors केस में तो होगा ही होगा.
चलो ठीक है. Rohit Gudgutia is saying that we are the best news channel. Thank you, Rohit. We love compliments, so keep them coming. I really love them. Okay, Matish Dosani has a question. Why is Siemens down? Matish, Siemens is down. I mean, because of the budget, right? I mean, one that the capex quantum isn't exactly gung-ho and the stocks are expensive. Motilal Oswal has downgraded Siemens, by the way, today. And two, globally, if the tariff wars come in, I think Nilkan Mishra was saying, right, that the view around the capability or the kind of order inflow that could go in to a lot of capex oriented companies will go down. So therefore, simple reason why Siemens, ABB, etc., everything is down. They've corrected quite a bit, but there's no reason why these stocks can't fall further. I must say, Siemens is down today. On Friday, somebody upgraded the stock as well, but that was before the budget. Now that this has happened, people have downgraded the stock. UBS upgraded Siemens, but today, now because of this thing, a lot of people are downgraded these stocks as well. So please keep that at the back of your mind. The key question.
The order multiple for all these capex companies are going to come down in this year because given the kind of capex which is
actually next 2 months orders will go up. So I'll tell you why, right? 21% uptick in capex for the next 2 months to meet the 7% number. तो next 2 महीने के लिए बहुत order inflow के numbers आएंगे.
Correct.
With Siemens and ABB will not declare, but a lot of others will declare, right? So next 2 months a lot of order inflow announcements. उसके बाद flatten out.
So that's they have to meet the 10.18 lakh crore.
Exactly that for that 21%.
Let's talk about this a little bit more. Book to bill is already quite stretched in that sense, 2 years plus at least. So you have a very good order pipeline. अब next 2 साल के लिए capex grow नहीं भी हुआ तो भी तुम्हारा order pipeline तो very solid.
But market will discount 2-3 years out, right? Because in ABB reaching 9,000, the market was discounting 5 years earnings.
No, but fair sir, but by then you'll have renewed tax collections, which will probably add more comfort to the government spending on capex again or
who
improving.
knows? The government may want to enhance more consumer spending. We don't know that.
Fair point.
So that's the anomaly.
And the base is
in all probability you are right, Hersh.
Yeah.
In all probability you are right.
But the base is already at like 10 lakh crore.
I just wanted to bring in what the finance minister told us in the interview. That she said, my fiscal deficit is 4.4% for next year, and my capital expenditure allocation is 4.3% for next year of GDP. Which basically means she was telling us that you have to look at it from the point of view that any deficit financing which I'm doing for capital creation and not for subsidies. So it is, and that is a pivot also the government is done, right? I'm going to use deficit financing to create assets rather than on subsidies. मेरा natural tax buoyancy जो है will take care of the subsidies and whatever I want to do. And capital means deficit financing से मैं ये करूँ. तो अगर ये pivot है government का आगे जाते हुए, then you're going to see a lot of consolidation in subsidies going forward in the next couple of years, and that money also incremental money going into capital creation because वहीं से the growth आएगा.
नहीं, I'm saying both of you are right. In fact, Madhu said that अगर आप ये 11% निकाल दो, 10%, government is giving additional
1.5 lakh crore दे रहे हैं
amounts to states. Right, for doing capacity creation. Yes. So technically state center मिला के from the central side itself, from the budget side 16-17% है. So it's not low. But फिलहाल the sentiment is this कि भाई capex का headline number cut किया है जो किया है, and globally things are looking uncertain. These stocks are not cheap. Let's get out of them. Rotation at play. Get into something else that is going right now. We'll revisit them at some point.
That is also one of the reasons why defense stocks are also muted because 1.8 lakh crores का capital allocation किया हुआ है उनके लिए, which is fairly low compared to that.
Compared to past years,
Past years.
Exactly.
But I think past years के order what you were talking about,
बहुत strong order.
3 साल का order book लेके
तुम कितना ही 20% growth कर लो तो भी 2 से 3 साल लगेगा execute करने में. तो 2 से 3 साल तक का तो insulation है और ऐसा नहीं है कि एकदम मतलब half कर दिया है.
Exactly.
They've maintained that capex. So I'm saying even if you continue to grow at 20% for the next 5 years, shouldn't have a problem, and more than 20 looks tough in some of these companies anyway. कहाँ execution होता है?
But valuation तो
Sorry
उनको,
to say, I mean,
but valuation तो उनको बहुत ज्यादा का दिया है ना,
हाँ,
कि भाई चलो order book आता रहेगा तो at some point of time
20% से ज्यादा सर execution का bandwidth ही नहीं है उनके पास. So,
नहीं, but they are setting up capacity.
The PSU defense companies have corrected 40-45%.
I'm not saying no. I'm not saying no.
And I
but
could be wrong. I'm just.
देखो स्टॉक्स को
I'm just
ऊपर ले
playing.
गए थे ऑर्डर इनफ्लोस को चलते हुए, स्टॉक्स को नीचे ले रहा है एक्सपेक्टेड ऑर्डर इनफ्लो डिक्लाइन पे. फिलहाल ये फंडामेंटल नहीं है. आई मीन at those stocks at whatever valuations that traded was not fundamentals. Okay,
Fair.
very quickly, last 5 minutes. Jack Denny was a superb question. It's the talk of town, which all of us will say yes, 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 because Jack says that the budget addresses disposable and real income. Corporate profits are at record highs, wages are at record low. Come appraisal season, would India Inc. act?
Appraisal season में हम कैसे बात कर सकते हैं?
I would ask the same question. What can we expect?
No, but
As a joke was going on,
no, I think
you have 1 lakh rupees given by the finance minister additional for a.
वो आपका appraisal हो गया. No, but even the CA has asked India Inc. to raise wages, right? So now, and maybe the government is now in a position to say, okay, we have done our bit, we have enhanced capex, we have not increased corporate tax, everything. Let's see corporates come out and reward their employees.
But sir, one more thing I'd like to
To my
flag here.
CEO, I hope you're listening to this. But anyways,
One more thing I'd like to flag here. Any of my friends who've started a business and who are doing decently well funded also, whenever I'm speaking to them, the only thing that they come back and give me feedback on is talent nahi hai. There isn't enough capability available. Skill sets, talent, capability available for us to hire. We don't mind paying well. We don't mind paying top dollar. But वो capability होना चाहिए. वो नहीं मिल रहा है market में से. Now, when you hear that, you start to feel that is it justified that you are not giving better wages because you're just not getting the same out of your people which you would expect. Now, of course, some really good people would either be getting those hikes or may not also be getting, and those are possible aberrations which need to be addressed. But outside of that, this is what I've been hearing. I don't know what you've been hearing.
If you look at the wage percentage of total expenditure for many of the companies, it's been kind of coming down. It's compared to what 5 years ago it was. If you do that,
yeah, sure.
And that's because of the efficiency, technology, everything which is coming into play.
We have about a minute.
Now, so I'm sure if you are going to normalize it back to the same level, because companies have enjoyed margins because on the back of that. Now, is it time for companies to say, okay, recalibrate the margin कि अच्छा मैं 20 में नहीं करूँगा, 18 में करूँगा, या 25 में नहीं करूँगा, 22 में करूँगा, वो पता नहीं है. But there are a lot of stakeholder are involved in this from the investor, because 0.5% margin गिरता है तो stock 10% ठुक जाता है.
Yes,
simple as that.
agree.
So those are the considerations which many companies want to take, and versus what they have to do to maintain talent. So
It's not an easy walk.
So I would say reskill yourself and make sure that you get a better wage.
It's spoken like a true employer, huh?
Yeah.
No,
So
that's a way to go.
Yeah, there is no other way.
There's no other way.
Yeah.
Because
AI
if you don't
AI is
reskill
coming
yourself,
in a big way.
Yeah.
That is the additional
I
risk.
was speaking to someone.
We have
who
20
works
seconds.
for a Hindi news channel, and I asked him that he wanted to come to NDTV, and I asked him that how do you convert Hindi to English these days?
Yeah.
Like, sir, ChatGPT आजकल 2 मिनट में करके देता है मुझे, क्लीन इंग्लिश देता है, क्यों करना है?
Okay, cool. Okay. Well, Sajeet, are you the Jay or the Viru? Somebody said that Sajeet and Niraj seem to be Jay and Viru. तो तू Jay? मेरे भाई Jay? मेरी बसंती घर पे है. I'm happy with that. But anyways, on that note, thank you so much all of you for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow same time. I much appreciate you joining in. Who dies, by the way? Jay dies, right? Yeah. Jay dies, no? है ना? Jay is Amitabh Bachchan. He dies, right? हाँ. ठीक है, तो मैं भी हूँ भाई.